Hey YouTube, what's going on? Juniio here, and I'm back again with another reaction video, back again with another viewer request, and hey, back again with another episode of Friday Filth, the weekly series on this channel where I try to find the most disgusting, the most abrasive, the most vile and abhorrent music on the face of this forsaken planet, and see what I think about it. I've been having a great time so far, and originally I was going to react to the new Mayhem song, because Mayhem, of course, one of the OG black metal bands, at least for the second wave, and I've been wanting to listen to it. But commenter Wraith here has brought to my attention that Decapitation has released a new song, and it was released yesterday, and I thought, hey, you know, time is of the essence when it comes to these sort of things. Decapitation is a pretty extreme, gnarly band. They've made the only music video that I've ever actually thought was kind of gnarly, and that was the forced gender reassignment video, so that was an adventure and a half. So I'm sure that they will bring some good material forth to the Friday Filth series. Decapitation, of course, pretty widely well-known extreme metal band. They're against like the destruction of the environment and the mistreatment of animals, or at least that's what they originally were going for. But I read recently that only half of the band is actually vegetarian at this point, but you know, hey, still make some pretty gnarly music about placing humans in the treatment of what we kind of consider normal for animals. That's still a pretty metal subject to write about. So yeah, they released a new song. It's called One Day Closer to the End of the World. It's from an upcoming album, so that's pretty cool. New Decapitation album. Of course, thank you Wraith for the suggestion. Everybody else, follow in their example. Leave your suggestions in the comments down below. The next video could be yours. Of course, as always, this episode is sponsored by RuneGate Studio. Make sure to subscribe. I promise someday we'll actually upload content on the channel. Haha! Okay. Okay. Oh, all right. Coming in pretty heavy, obviously. I mean, I don't know what we were expecting. Very pummeling. The vocals are interesting because a lot of the times they're layered up, which makes for some very interesting effects. But at the very beginning, when it was just by himself, it was kind of an odd, I don't know, I'm not sure if I liked it or didn't like it, but it was definitely an odd sound. So far, there's nothing special about the instrumental, at least in my opinion. I don't know. It's good. It's definitely heavy, but I feel like the guitars are kind of falling a little bit flat. Not like tuning, but just as far as just like the punch that they should have, I feel like in the mix. You know, we're only a minute in. Let's take a look at the lyrics. Awaken to the reality, left stranded, hope has vanished, an opportunity for failure. One day closer to the end of all life on the planet. Death obsessed, infatuation with cessation, eternal rest. Request for death at my behest. Held close to the breast. Clutched tight with all my might, the Smith & Wesson, us humans never learn our lessons. Possessed with deep aggression, self-hate, the Great Depression, confessing love for the end. These like internal rhymes actually are very interesting. In metal, I feel like bands don't really put that much emphasis on actually rhyming lines, bars. I'm saying bars because it almost, as you're reading it, can come off as like rap lyrics. So that's kind of interesting. Why do we keep letting this life come between us? The years won't wipe away desire for the end times. Okay, so very misanthropic, very nihilistic, putting forth the idea of just ending it all. You have to wake up, people. The reality is that we're living on a dying and doomed planet. We never learn our lesson. Humans are the disease that will bring about the downfall of our world, and we will be the cause of our own extinction and potentially the end of life on planet Earth as we know it. Also, they had these kind of really interesting, strangely pitched vocals on the last couple lines there. For a second, I almost thought it was like a gang of children singing, but it was just a Let's listen to it again, actually, because it was weird. I mean, I like the layered shrieks above it, and then it has this really eerie, almost like not like a child, but now I'm thinking more like goblins. You know what I'm saying? Like goblins from Goblin Slayer. Yeah. We'll go with that. I'll try and pay a bit more attention to the instrumental itself. See if I can pick up some interesting bits. Okay, sure, okay. What's really standing out to me right now is the drum work. I think the drum work is fantastic. I love the switch ups between different types of blast beats going on. It's very in your face and bone rattling. And maybe I'm only saying that because of the bones currently on display for the album art. But that's just what I thought of. I mean, yeah, overall the instrumental is quite intricate. It's very fast, very very gnarly, very well put together. The production is quite polished, yes. And I'm not taking anything from the technical achievement of the guitars. I'm just saying that there's something, I feel like it's just lacking some sort of, it's not grabbing my attention like I kind of want them to. They're great, and I think maybe I'm kind of missing the point. Maybe they're just kind of there to support the entire package, right? Typically when I'm listening to something like this, the instrumentation is there for the bed, is there to be the support for the vocal performance. And maybe it's, for me, kind of nitpicking on the guitars is evidence that the vocal performance is a little bit lacking. Though, I don't know, when they layer the vocals, it makes for some really cool effects and cool passages. And when he's singing solo, it's not that it's bad. I think he has a very distinct style, or not distinct, but like a very it's like those really low guttural, almost leaning into the toilet bowl gutturals a little bit, which isn't necessarily bad. I just think that when he's singing alone, it's not brought up enough in the mix. It's not prominent enough. But maybe I'm supposed to feel like I'm drowning in this swamp of despair and disaster, and in which case it's doing its job there as well. So maybe I'm really nitpicking over nothing. I should just keep listening to the song. I don't know. Okay. Okay. Woo. Okay. Okay. hold on. Okay, so they really, for me, they really turned it around those last 3 stanzas, verses, whatever you want to call them. You know, they're doing the goblin vocals a little bit, which I was like, huh, that's, you know, interesting choice. But as it kept going, it just settled into this groove. The instrumentation finally just they reached this convergence point where it just all of a sudden just fell into place for me. It just clicked, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then they introduced like the lower cleans, which just sounded so ominous and haunting. I'm gonna listen to it again. Yeah. Right here. So right here. That amazing. That was incredible. I want a whole song like that. Like that section right there was so sick. Maybe it reminded me. It reminds me a little bit of like Tim Burton. It reminds me a little bit of Marilyn Manson, which is really out of place in a typical cattle decapitation song. That was cattle decapitation. One day closer to the end of the world. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, the last third there really sold me. Really got me. It went from like an okay metal song to a pretty sick one, pretty baller metal track. I don't know, it's not really typical. It's not like death metal or anything, but you know, they are labeled extreme metal, so you kind of can blend things as they see fit, and I really liked what they came up with. As far as the lyrical content goes, it's really the same sentiment throughout, you know. All hail silence, all hail death, one day closer to the final tragedy, born a life sentence of a hell on earth we can't avoid. Lust for dying, lust for extinction, lusting for euthanasia. Would never have asked for any of this, a chemistry that's black as any abyss. Before our eyes, deep in our minds, hope is swallowed, a bleak despair in the air fills the hollows. One day we will all mean nothing, shallow grace to tomb the suffering, and the pale horse's reins pulling my heartstrings. So that's, you know, the pale horse of death pulling at your heartstrings, I suppose. Maybe at this point he's feeling somewhat sad about the fact that we're all killing ourselves. Out of breath, out of time, a species out of its mind. So again, really not complicated. The human race is messing up. We're goofing it, all right? We're destroying the planet. We're getting rid of all the nice things here, you know, and it's our fault. I mean, look, at the end of the day, did I enjoy the song? Yes. Initially, I was a little lukewarm towards it. I liked elements of it, and I disliked some elements of it. But there's something about the end bit there that really caught my attention, and that's what I was kind of waiting for. Something to really grab my focus and make me like the song. So sick. Thank you for the suggestion. I'm glad I listened to the song now. And of course, everybody else, thank you for watching. If you like the video, make sure to like it. If you like the channel, make sure to subscribe. Of course, everybody have a great day. I'll see you another day. Cattle decapitation. Ah! Typical cattle decapitation song. 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 Yeah.